Do you know there are so many places out there professing to teach you how to generate more engagement with your podcast listeners? And do you know what? It's something that is ever evolving, but there is one key component that I believe not too many people discuss, and that is what I'm going to talk about today here on the Podcast Accelerator, the thrice-weekly show from me, Mark Asquith, that bloody British podcasting guy and CEO and co-founder here at Rebel Base Media, where we've just got back from a wonderful trip over to Cupertino to see the guys at Apple. Thank you to the Apple team for hosting us over there. It's been really, really fun to spend a bit of time and obviously to do a little bit of work out there as well. We also met our good friend Mr. Jordan Harbinger, with whom we're doing a little bit of work. So look out for an announcement on that very, very shortly. So thank you to everyone who made that trip possible and for all the exciting things that we are going to be doing, that we're going to be working on. Look out for that via Captivate.fm and the Rebel Base Media blog, and via a new podcast that I'm going to talk about on episode 72. Now, before I get into the content today, which is all about why won't my listeners engage with me, I'm just going to give a quick shout out to AWeber, because of course AWeber still allow me to engage with you, the ever-present listener, the person that I am so very, very grateful for. And I thank you, number one, for turning out and listening to me every single day. And I thank AWeber for helping me to connect with you via email. And what's wonderful about that is that so many of you reply. So if you're listening to this and you get my email today saying, hey, look, there's a new episode of the Accelerator, go ahead, hit reply, tell me what you're struggling with, tell me what you enjoy about the show, tell me what you hate about the show. Just get in touch, let me know what I can do, and know that all of that is powered by AWeber, and you too can do the same thing with your listeners. Just go and check that out for 90 days free at markasquith.com/AWeber. So we are very often so enamored by a spike in downloads that we forget that the real goal with our podcast is to build an engaged set of listeners. But engagement is really hard, and there's one big thing that you're probably doing wrong, in my opinion, when it comes to listener engagement. Now, there are so many podcasting courses out there now. I mean, we've got a free one over at podcastsuccessacademy.com. We don't charge for that. It's not a, go and launch your podcast and pay us $500, blah, 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 blah. What it's all about is just making sure that you know how to get the MVP of your show out. And one of the things that people mention is actually, once I've got the MVP out, the minimum viable product, the minimum viable podcast, perhaps, is how do I get that engagement? Because ultimately they believe that engagement is going to lead to sponsorship and monetization and yada, yada, yada. I mean, that's a discussion for another day. But the point is that I've kind of personally, I've got this bit of a challenge in my mind about a lot of the technology that we're using as podcasters. There are so many startups now jumping around the kind of podcasting space, because you're seeing so many people that have never been in podcasting coming into podcasting and not really approaching it like Kieran and I did when we started in podcasting 5-6 years ago. We were very sensitive to the industry. We kind of worked really, really hard to understand the industry and to walk the beat and get to know people and not dive in too much too soon and think we can solve everything. But sadly, because podcasting is getting a little bit more press, that's what a lot of startups are doing. And one of the big things that startups are doing is that they're all trying to solve this podcasting community problem, like this idea that a podcasting community has to exist somewhere. But the problem is, none of them are really doing, in my opinion, and it's no disrespect to anyone because it's a hard problem to solve, but none of them are doing a great job of it. And the problem with this is kind of along the lines of what Tom Webster said from Edison, which is, go where your listeners already are. Well, we've got to go where our community already is. So what I'm seeing a lot of the time with podcasters, and I'm seeing veteran podcasters do this under the name of kind of trying the new technology, which I'm totally on board with. But I'm also seeing new podcasters do this, but they're doing this with a different angle. They're doing it under the name of a silver bullet. And so many consultants and coaches out there are telling people to basically jump ship to the next new thing. I mean, Himalaya came along a couple of years ago and allowed tipping. Brilliant. That was the next big thing. Everyone should be on Himalaya. Guess what? It's a little quiet, all right? Then there was kind of this new Flick app, which is great. I know Nige and the team over there, great guys, but now everyone's saying jump over there. And everyone's saying jump over to this place, set up this thing, do this thing, set up a Slack group, a Facebook group, a Twitter group, blah, 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 whatever. And people are saying all these different things every 3 months, every 6 months. The problem is that you get fatigued, you get technology fatigue, you get community fatigue. Honestly, that is not the way to get your listeners to engage you. Like, no technology will solve this. I believe there are bigger problems that we've got as podcasters that we've got to solve. And I also think that to solve this community problem, I don't think a proprietary layer of technology is the way to do it. I think it's something a little bit more agnostic, which I'm going to be kind of delving into a little bit further, a little bit more down the line. It's something that we're working on with Productivity and Captivate and a few other things that we've got simmering under the hood here at Rebel Base Media. But I believe that no one place that is created just for podcasters will work. The reason for that is that people don't care enough, I don't believe, about your podcast. They can be the biggest fan of your podcast, but ultimately, they're not going to want to talk about it enough to go and sign up for something, create a new account, go through the privacy concerns, go and log into it, jump over there and do something else that they're not already doing because it's an entertainment medium. How many people go and download a TV show off Netflix and then go and join a specific group on a specific app that is just created for that TV show? They do not do it. It's impossible. They don't do it. So all of these new apps and pieces of technology that are coming out saying, oh, we're the new community thing for podcasters. We're the new kind of optimize your community and engage with the community or generate donation. Honestly, long term, it will not work. It will not work because what we need to do is give people an experience within the places that they're already experiencing your podcast. And again, I believe the technology is a layer of this. The technology is an invisible layer. And again, this is what productivity is. It's an invisible, agnostic, device-agnostic layer of technology that is an enabler. All right, it's just an enabler. What we need to be doing is looking at ways of engaging our audience within the places that they already exist. So what I'm talking about here is pick one. All right? Don't say, go and join me on this brand new app that's just for podcasters to engage. No one wants to do that. No, in my view, if anyone's got any data that shows that that is wrong, please present it to me. All right? I will take it and I will listen to it, and I'm very open to having my mind changed on that. But I don't believe that I'm wrong. Okay? It's certainly at this juncture in podcasting. However, what I think you've got to do is pick one place to engage with your audience, whether that is a Facebook group, a Patreon group over on Patreon where you get donations in, whether that's just on Twitter or Instagram. Just pick one. But pick a place where people don't have to log in just to get to your show, where people don't have to log in just to get your stuff. Pick a place that they are already existing, a place where they are already around, a place where they have already got access. Don't create a Slack team for your podcast. A Telegram group, maybe, I don't know, Telegram's out there for the techies. What's better is probably just tell people to get in touch with you on Twitter or give them your email address or on a Facebook group. Yes, it's someone else's land. Yes, I understand that. But we can't expect people to give out email addresses and so on and so forth just to communicate with us. What we've got to do is give them a safe place and then move them through a process of getting engagement from them, all right? So don't expect the technology to solve the problem, because all of these new platforms and these new apps that are promising exclusive places for your podcast listeners to come and engage with you, why would they bother? Even if you convert 10% of your listeners, it's a tiny amount, all right? It's not going to happen. And again, I'm sorry if anyone's listening that disagrees with that. I'm well open to a discussion on that. Hit me up on Twitter at Mr. Asquith. That is my engagement protocol of choice. Twitter at Mr. Asquith. Let me know if you think I'm wrong. But I don't believe new technological solutions that promise a niche or a siloed experience for your show is the place to do it. Honestly, I do not believe that. I honestly don't believe that, because it's forcing listeners to create another login or log in with Facebook again to something else and have another app on their phone or another website to visit. No, become part of their day-to-day experience. They don't care enough about your show to change their routine. It's our job as a podcaster to adapt to the listener. All right, that's what I'm talking about here. So look, maybe that's a bit of a rant, but I stand by that. So listen, like I said, hit me up on Twitter if you think that's contentious, if you think I'm wrong. I would love to discuss it because I'm always open to having my mind changed. Really, really am. So please go and let me know what the situation is over on Twitter at Mr. Asquith. And cheers for listening. I really appreciate you. Thank you to everyone that has supported us over the last couple of weeks as well. I really, really appreciate that. We've got some amazing stuff coming out on Captivate as well. We release new features every single Tuesday. Next week, week, I'm going to be introducing you to a brand new show called Captivate Insider, which is giving you the skinny on Captivate, which is news, views, releases, insights, behind the scenes, backgrounds. It's going to be chatting with our advisors, chatting with our team, chatting with Kieran and me. Sometimes it'll just be me or Kieran telling you what we've done. Okay, so you can actually go and check that out now in your pod app of choice. Go and check out Captivate Insider, and I'm going to be giving you the skinny on that next week. But until the next time, do check out Captivate.fm for your hosting needs. And until the next time, never forget, the more you expect from yourself, the more you will excel.